Leanne Willis, last time we talked to you, it was about your gorgeous daughter, Maddie. How is Maddie?
She's doing okay, thanks. She's got a few health issues, but we're working our way through that, and she's starting to blossom. I see a lot of her because I go and look after Ella, my granddaughter, and Maddie lives with my other daughter. So I do see a lot of her, which has been nice. So, put the stern mum word on her and said when she should go back to the doctor and, just follow up with bits and pieces. So.
I hope none of that is related to what they did in Wellington, but we can't know that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I know that when we were talking about EMF frequency, she told me about a night just after these things were installed.
In Parliament in February.
Yep.
On the people who were protesting.
Absolutely. So she slept on her belly on the night after they installed these things, and she woke up the next morning with blisters and down her back, like it was.
My God!
It was like she'd been microwaved or she'd had too much time in the sun. So, yeah. So she told me about that actually recently. I had no knowledge of that before.
That is something that in the huge inquiry that will have to happen when we get rid of this government.
Yeah.
We will have to find out what the police put on those beautiful, gentle protesters who were saying, I'm jab injured, I've lost my house, I've lost my job, I'm losing my family. They were just there to have their voices heard by their representatives. And the police apparently put sonar weaponry and God knows what else.
Yep.
If you were some of the police who did that, your consciences should haunt you forever. It is so unforgivable. That's major war weaponry.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you wouldn't even expect it to be done on people that have committed murder or rape, let alone peaceful protesters. I just,
We will have to find out what happened. If there are any decent ones among you who know what happened and you want to whistleblow, please contact me, liz.gunn@freenz.org. Please give Maddie our love. We all love her, and there have been so many beautiful comments about her.
Absolutely. The stunning comments, and thank you again, Liz, because it was just, it's actually closed a circle for her, and she had some help with Jeanette and filing a complaint with the police.
Good.
So that was really good. So that kind of closed the circle on it, and hopefully she can move forward now.
It's not me, it's you and her. You were such brave women stepping forward, and you spoke so beautifully about your daughter, and I think it really touched a lot of people to see how brave a young 21-year-old could be in the face of police abuse. So Maddie really stands in history at this period for something.
Absolutely.
As you do, you're standing for local politics. How has it been going? How have you found it?
Yeah, well, I was on the Hibiscus and Bays local board 3 years ago. I got voted in, and it was all very new to me. I'm not a politician. I've done so many other things, but that's not one of them. So I stood, and we achieved a lot in that last 3 years. We've achieved so much, over 100% in project completion rates. We opened up the workshops to the public because we wanted total transparency, and it had never been done before.
Great. What workshops are they?
So the workshops, they have, they usually have one or two workshops a month, and then one business meeting a month. So the business meetings generally are open to the public, but workshops have been closed to all the local boards around the Auckland, and I'm sure around New Zealand. There was only one other local board that opened up their workshops before we did, and although before we got elected they tried to open up the workshops, it had been voted down each time. So when we got in, that was our campaign promise, that we would open up the workshops to the public, and we did that.
And what are they on? What sorts of things are they on, and how would they help the public? What are they about?
On lots of things. It's there's no decisions that can be made at a workshop, so it's almost like a prelim to the business meeting, where we'll discuss about the grants and the grants program and who we're going to give so much money to, and we'll get suggestions from the staff, and then we talk about it and we decide. So then when it goes to the business meeting, it's just a matter of going, voting it on and getting it done. So
this is really important, so the public can turn up and they go, oh, you've got a pool of money, what about this place that you could put some money? That's how government should run. Wait a minute, isn't that the purpose of government, to listen to the people? And what a reminder of how simple it can be to change from this tyranny where we have a government that won't listen to anyone. back to listening, groups where you listen, and then you feed that up the chain.
And it wasn't hard, it wasn't easy, because when I put forward a notice of motion to open up the workshops, we then get to speak to it at a business meeting. Yeah. And I had a whole lot of other people. I mean, our group, Gary Brown, myself, Andy Dunn and Victoria Short, we're all on the same page, so we're all for it. The others, I was being treated like a child. I was almost felt like I was being treated like a naughty schoolgirl.
Why?
They were just coming down with things like, we should have left this to discuss at a workshop. And I'm like, well, we've already discussed it in previous years and nothing ever came of it. So I don't see the point. It's a notice of motion, I'm putting it forward, we just take it to a vote. And then I called for a division, which means that everyone's accountable for their own yay or nay.
Yes.
And so all the people that had chastised me in their chance to speak turned around, all bar one, and voted for the open workshop. So it's 7-1 in favour, so it was passed through.
Absolutely brilliant. So they all want to look good, like they're for open government.
Yeah,
this is so important. How 1 or 2, or in your case 4, can make a difference. So what's the group you're standing with?
Coast People.
Coast People. So. Well, if I was on the coast, they get my vote. You get my vote.
Thanks.
I am slightly biased, I need to tell you. Okay, what about the downside? The bullying in this election has been worse than I have ever witnessed in New Zealand. We've had Stuff running a tacky campaign trying to shame anybody who just expressed a difference from the government narrative and saying, oh, this person is an anti-vaxxer or far right or should not get your vote.
Absolutely.
No journalist has the right to do that, to influence a group and say there's only one lot that you should vote for.
No.
That's complete interference in democracy, and there's such bad journalists, they can't even understand it.
No.
So have you had very much negative things like that where there's been influence?
Absolutely. So after the interview came out with you and I, and with Maddie and yourself, it came to my attention that there was one person that was going on Facebook and actually sharing my post, actually linking an Hibiscus and Bay's local board Facebook page and then just saying a whole lot of stuff about, us being anti-vaxxers and all this kind of stuff. And it simply isn't true. But it was just, I was gobsmacked because she took out of that interview that I did with you, which was about Maddie and what she'd experienced, she interpreted that I was, against vaccinations and that basically that we should be, on the lookout and supporting those that aren't that way inclined kind of thing.
Absolutely bullying. It's cancel culture at its worst.
Yeah.
And we have to stop it. This bullying has to stop.
She was sharing it over and over again on many different sites and all that kind of stuff. So we did our best to shut it down and then we proceeded with a letter to cease and desist. But it was horrifying. I couldn't believe that a person, it was only one person at that stage, was out there and trying to dirty up and it was just after the election, I think, started to roll. Like we're just getting our billboards up and then this hit and we're like, what the hell do we do? And then I remember talking with my girls about it because Maddie was like, oh no, we should get Liz to take down the video. And I'm like, Maddie, no. I said, if being authentic means that I don't get back in, then that's just the way it's going to go. Because I said, I'm not going to compromise my principles over someone that's just trying to muddy up the waters and
be a bully.
Be a bully. Absolutely.
Well done. And do you want to say her name?
No.
Okay. It shows you're much more generous to her than she's been to you. And secondly, do you think she could have been a Jacinda Ardern troll? Because from my experience, I've found there are sort of government trolls. They seem to hunt normally in packs though, but they are very persistent like that, and they just have 1 or 2 nasty comments that they repeat over and over, trying to run people down. I think a lot of Kiwis now have wised up to it and are going, oh yeah, there are those stupid trolls. They're not even worth listening to, reading their comments. From
what I can see on her page, she's definitely Labour supporter and backs everything and is totally rubbishing any other government party other than Labour. So
So did it put you off when you went to meetings to talk? Were you feeling worried
Yeah,
about that kind of thing?
I was really nervous not because I didn't want to tell my truth, but I was just really nervous that I was going to get railroaded. And as much as I like to tell my truth, I quite often freeze when it comes to, if something comes out of the woodwork just really quickly, I actually freeze, and later I think to myself, God, I should have said this or I should have said that.
We're all like that. If you're a decent human, if you're not glib, we're all like that.
So I was sort of really concerned, but we had a good bunch of hosts that were running the meetings, and so I was reassured that just wouldn't happen. That they would take in any questions and they would read from the ones that they thought were applicable.
So you got through her, and then I read something you wrote today about racism, that you've noticed much more racism.
Yes.
And this was one of the things that really concerned me. I thought we should talk to you about this.
Absolutely.
What were you referring to there?
Okay, I'll refer to a comment. I won't refer to the person, but a colleague of mine said that he was referred to by a woman that's running in the next election for local board as a middle-class white man.
Yeah.
And how would he know what co-governance is all about in the treaty and all that kind of stuff?
This is worrying. This is the sort of comment Kelvin Davis made the other day in Parliament.
Yes.
Kelvin Davis, who would have to be one of the whitest Māori I've ever seen, talking about this ACT MP as a vanilla or some
Vanilla,
something obviously intended to be very derogatory. But it's such a bad, divisive note, and we've never had this sort of racism in New Zealand. Labour's really driving it, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And my colleague said to me, she didn't stop to ask me my background. He said, I'm what do you say, a quarter Samoan.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to even ask, and it's all about the co-governance. Whether she's got the information wrong, she believes it's all about the treaty, and co-governance is all about, it should be one person, one vote.
Yes.
And people are just, co-governance is not democratic.
For people who are not aware of co-governance, just sum it up very briefly.
Okay, summing up briefly, if we take our population of New Zealand is around about 17% Maori. What co-governance means is that 17% Maori will account for 50% of the vote. So iwi will have 50% of the vote, and I guess New Zealand European, if anything else, has 50% of the vote. That's not democratic. That's not one person, one vote.
It's completely wrong. As with so many confusing things going on, it can be undone once we get this government out, but they are coming at New Zealanders with changes of legislation everywhere.
Yes.
It looks like an out of control madwoman, really, just wreaking havoc, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's almost like she started the divisiveness with the whole COVID thing, the mandates and everything, and it's just continued with the co-governance is kind of overlaid over the last sort of year or so. There's talk of this co-governance thing and the three waters, and I mean, look what happened with three waters. That's supposed to be a democratic society that we're in, and you've got three waters where all the councils, I think there were 67 councils in New Zealand, 60 of them voted against three waters, but she's going to go ahead anyway.
Absolutely.
That's not democracy.
It's disgusting, and it's going to be centralised, so local towns won't have a say in how their water is. It's just disastrous. I mean, these people could not run, they can't run anything. They're not competent. And I think, Leanne, more and more Kiwis are waking up to that as well and saying, how do we get past it? So what is something positive in this election? Can we look to vote for freedom fighters who've stood up for democracy? Whether you're pro or anti-jab is irrelevant to most people now, but it's people who are saying we won't let New Zealand be taken from under us, who we want to vote for. That's how I'm looking. I'm looking on the VFF, Voices for Freedom site.
Right.
They've got really good write-ups about all candidates.
Right.
What else would you recommend for people who want, at least at local level, to have democracy restored?
Well, I think, it's been said to us that local board members don't deal with the issue over co-governance or three waters, and that may be so, but the thing is that you're bringing your own beliefs into a situation and you're going to be voted on your merits. So my way of looking at it is, if a person is for co-governance, desperately think twice, because it's anti-democratic to be for co-governance.
Yes.
And I think that it comes down to being pro-choice. That's imperative, that people are pro-choice and that aren't following the narrative of the government. It's so bad.
And also pro-listening to the people's voices,
Absolutely.
which is what you said you
Absolutely.
achieved in the last...
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the thing too. I was asked by a local journalist about whether I was a VFF member. And I said, I actually don't know. I said, I've attended their meetings. I said, but I don't know whether I am or not. I get the occasional email. I said, what's the problem with, and she kept kind of, going at me. And I'm like, I actually didn't know.
But I think my answer would have been, what business is it of yours? Yeah. Are you a Girl Scout? Are you a...
Well, evidently...
Girl Guide?
Evidently someone had been in that person's ear, and so she was told to ask the questions. So
it's so invasive, and it's invasive and it's irrelevant. Yeah. It really is.
I said, well, I've been to VFF meetings, I've been to neighbourhood support meetings, I've been to, many different meetings, because we're there to represent the community, to listen to everyone, not just a few selected people. We're there for everybody.
So let's finish with that. What is it that you feel you offer and that you also love about serving your community this way?
Well, years back, we did a lot on the coast for people that had, there was Alison Ray that had lost their house due to a tornado that had torn through. They didn't have any insurance on their contents, and so in 10 days, we'd fully replaced their contents into their home that they moved into, filled the cupboards full of pantry full of food, and just, done a whole lot. So that was my idea of community and helping the community. So then the next step came to being elected to the local board. Totally different from any of that. And I'd go back to that in a heartbeat from the point of view that I just love seeing the satisfaction on people's faces. But I hope that I can also offer so much more being on the local board. And we've done a lot in the last 3 years. And I just hope to continue that process, just make it more and more transparent and make it more and more so that people are getting heard, whatever group they belong to.
Yes.
That's
a beautiful democratic way of looking at it.
It's totally democratic.
And we need women and men of calibre and integrity.
Absolutely.
And you really have that, Leanne.
Thank you.
Highly recommend voting for you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the election.
Thanks, Liz.
Lovely.
Thank you. Oh, that's cool.